Here, I'm from the National Institutes of Health and I work in the Office of Human Resources. And my lightning topic is a beginner's chat about using web forms and conditional logic to develop a simple self-service tool. Our HR department was tasked with implementing a new government program to help our employees that have been affected either directly or indirectly as a result of COVID-19 complications. And so what this program does is it can help provide either paid leave or paid monies directly to the individual if they meet certain criteria. So my job was to provide the selection criteria in layman's terms, allowing the employee to determine for themselves if they're eligible for the program. Now, even for those of us in government, reading some of these regulations is not a casual activity, so we try to make it easier on our employees and reduce the number of calls to our HR staff. So what I'm showing you right now on the screen, this is our publicly accessible form. This allows folks to get the information that they need. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just walk really quickly through the form itself. This is just a bunch of information that helps provide some narrative for the form. Jumping down here, we see that the form itself is just a standard Drupal web form using the web form wizard. We have three areas. One is determining your eligibility, and that's where we walk through to see if the person is actually eligible or not. If they are, then they would enter their pay information, and then after that, then we would give them the results that they can then submit. That'll be more readily apparent as I walk through it here. So for the purposes of the presentation, I would quickly walk through the form itself. So the first question that you're asking here is determining your eligibility. I am an NIH federal employee. If you're not, hard stop. Please contact your employer for available leave options. If you are, then it will allow you to go ahead and continue using conditional logic to the next questions. You'll notice that the next page button, I've got that one turned off, and that's not turned on until they've gone through all the eligibility criteria. And with that in mind, here's the form itself, and I would go ahead and show some of the back-end processes as far as setting up the form, setting up the wizard page and the different wizard areas on it, and then going through and showing like under the determine eligibility here for the I am an NIH federal employee. What I would do here is I would just show quickly that this is set up as radio buttons, where a person can go ahead and then select whether or not they are or not. And in this case, I just use the element options that were already predefined within the web form for the yes/no ones. Of course, people can make their own, but this is a very simple one. Keep it one column as far as the display goes. And then once they have done that, then I go ahead and I can do some very minor, simple branching from there. So for the first one here, for this element, this is a display element. The condition for this, it's not visible until someone has selected a value for I am an NIH federal employee, and that value is no, which I did here. If it was no, then it would show up here and provide this type of an error message, which I have defined here in the message settings. However, if they are an NIH federal employee, then I enable the next question going down, which is, let's see, do the following apply to you? Same here, if I click on that and I go to the conditions side of it, this is only visible after they have said that yes, they are an NIH employee. And from there, I would just go ahead and walk through the form and show the methods that we used as far as determining their eligibility, and then show some of the slightly more, not necessarily complicated ones, but the areas where they can customize, where they can go ahead and use Twig in order to compute information. For example, on the hourly rates display here, if I were to go ahead and walk through the form really quickly, which I would do for the folks in the presentation, work schedule. I'm just going to run through this real quick and get down to the point where the person is indeed qualified. Once you run through all the qualification questions, there's actually 8 different areas where a person could qualify for. If they are one of those 8, then we say, congratulations, you're eligible. Now my next page is enabled, which will go to the next portion of the web form wizard. And then on that, we ask for pay information. Now, we don't do that until it's just standard customer experience type of process. We normally wouldn't do that until we've got the information that we need to determine if they're eligible. So here I'm just going to say somebody makes $30 an hour. and go to the next page. And then the last part of the wizard here is for viewing the results. So here, this page right here is something that they could actually print off and then provide back to their HR liaison folks for when they want to apply for the program. So here they're saying that they're a full-time employee, $30 an hour is what they make. This was a qualifying circumstance, one of the 8 that I identified, and then we compute their EPL benefits. And from here I can go ahead and walk through some of the computed twig I did. And here the pay calc, this is the bread and butter side of it right here, where I did a little bit more computations using twig. I can show them how the different types of twig computations that you can make depending upon what your selection criteria is, being able to set data using data variables that came from the form itself, and then setting local variables and being able to manipulate those and perform some calculations, then just using straight HTML to do some displays, but at the same time dropping in some twig here so that we can go ahead and take some of those values that we computed and being able to have those display on the form. So that in a nutshell is what the presentation is that I would be providing, would be showing the form itself, talking about what led to the development of this, and then also showing just in basic terms what you can do within Webforms itself to make this kind of thing happen. What's great about Webforms and what's great about Drupal itself is there's more than one way to do any kind of these things. So I'm just going to show what method worked for us and worked well, and then take it from there. Okay, well, so thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see you at the conference. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.